Sup guys, Christos here, and in this video I'm going to be giving you my full reaction to the recent Facebook earnings announcement and conference call. Facebook is one of the biggest holdings in my own personal portfolio, and it is also a company that has come under great scrutiny in the media as of late, so this one was one that I was really interested to listen to. So as always, before I jump in, if I could kindly ask you to hit that like button down below and subscribe if you haven't already. But other than that, let's jump straight into it. Okay, so let's kick things off with the main financials that were reported, and it was very much a mixed bag. First up, we had the revenue miss, where Facebook reported revenue of 29.01 billion versus the 29.57 billion that was expected. We then had the earnings beat, which came in at $3.22 per share versus the $3.19 per share that was expected. And then finally, we actually had a match of the daily active users, where it was expected that they were going to hit 1.93 billion, and that is exactly the number that they reached. In terms of my thoughts on this is something that I actually got completely wrong. I actually fully expected revenue to beat, but I actually had my doubts on earnings. But there you go, that's exactly why I'm not an analyst. But going back to the earnings, this is something that I was actually surprisingly happy about. This is mainly because, of course, we just saw Snapchat report a massive miss simply because of the Apple iOS 14 restrictions to advertisements, and some were also expecting Facebook to miss too. So the fact that Facebook beat earnings and they only missed revenue by not really a massive amount, I personally think that this is a win for the company in the short term. Revenue was still up 33% year on year, and the daily active user base still grew at 6% on a yearly basis as well. And I think that just once again, this has proved that despite headwinds from Apple and a barrage of bad press in regards to the whistleblower stuff, Facebook still remains to be a revenue producing monster no matter what. And just by taking a look at things in the early post-market trading, it looks like this has also been recognized by other investors too. As you can see at the time of recording this video, the stock is up around 1.9% in after hours trading, and this was also taken after the conference call, which I will get into in a second. But just a couple of other things to mention in these original figures. Number one, Facebook are now going to change the way that they report their earnings. In a statement, the company reads that starting with our results from the fourth quarter of 2021, we plan to break out Facebook Reality Labs, or FRL, as a separate reporting segment. As discussed, we are dedicating significant resources towards our augmented and virtual reality products and services, which are an important part of our work to develop the next generation of an online social experience. Essentially, what they are saying here is that they're going to report their earnings in two different stages. The first one is going to be the original app, so we've got Facebook, Instagram, Messenger and WhatsApp, and just the other kind of services that come with that. And then the second segment is going to be the new Facebook Reality Labs, and it's just a small change that they're going to be making in terms of the way that they report their services. Another interesting thing that I noticed was that over the past 1 year, Facebook has also increased their headcount to 68,177 people, which is an increase of 20% year on year. Now, I don't know about you, but I think for an established company, this is a significant increase and can be a potential telltale sign that this company is definitely not done growing yet. But just to give my overall thoughts on the basic financials that came out, number one, it once again proved that despite adversity, it's a revenue producing beast. Number two, it's definitely not done growing anytime soon. And then number three, that despite all of the negative press it's received, people are still using Facebook as a platform just as much as they were before. Okay, so let's now move on to the earnings call, and this one I was actually quite shocked on how things went. Now, first up, we had Mark Zuckerberg come out with his usual statement, and boy did he come out swinging. His opening statement included a line that read, "My view is what we are seeing is a coordinated effort to selectively leak documents to paint a false picture of our company." This is of course fully directed at all of the recent stuff that is going on in the media with the whistleblower and all of that stuff. He then actually went on to talk about the open culture at Facebook and how proud he was of the research and transparency that they bring to work. All stuff you can pretty much expect a CEO to say, but he then actually went on to mention that they are actually planning to invest £10 billion into this new metaverse vision that they have, and another further £5 billion into upgrading security measures. Whether this one was a reaction based on what has just happened, who knows, but all in all, I think it's a good investment. From there, he then went on to criticize Apple very heavily for the latest iOS 14 changes that has evidently caused companies like Facebook and Snapchat to not be able to target users as easily. However, despite all of this, I knew this was going to come out from Mark Zuckerberg. He's very much a defensive character of his company, as you should be, I guess. The big surprise for me, however, that was when we got to the questions from the analysts, there was not one question about any of the things going in the media and how this could affect the stock going forward. Now, I was actually shocked that this didn't get brought up at all, and there were kind of two reasons as to what I come up with as to why I don't think it actually got brought up. Number one is maybe they are just analysts and it's not their question to ask, which is probably the right answer, or maybe it's down to the fact that the people who actually crunch the numbers know that investors don't actually care about the mainstream media anymore, but more so the results that the business is actually still producing. But nonetheless, it was a very much boring call. It was one that I was actually expecting to be a lot more feisty than what it was, especially more questions about the controversial things that have been going on. It was very much directed and defending themselves about Apple's recent changes and directing attacks at Apple. One thing to note as well is that they have seen most of the fallout of this iOS change in Q3, and they should not expect to see too much of a step up moving into Q4, but they did also mention that they have never experienced a holiday season without these changes, so that's just something we're going to have to see. But all in all, not the most outstanding earnings report from Facebook. I've definitely seen some better ones in the past, but one that I would probably take right now as an investor, considering the recent changes that they have had and the bad press surrounding the stock. Now, what are your thoughts on these Facebook earnings? Are you happy? Are you going to be buying some more? Or maybe are you even selling? Either way, let me know in the comments section down below. Drop this video a like if you found it useful, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Take care.